Signs that you have adrenal fatigue. A lot of people are struggling with adrenal fatigue, whether they know it or not. And a lot of people and even doctors are not aware that this little gland that is sitting on top of your kidneys is responsible for a lot of things in your body. It is by far the most important endocrine gland in your body. It produces hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. And if your adrenals are weakened or fatigued, you can have all kinds of different symptoms. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, before we start, I also have to say that adrenal fatigue is misunderstood often, because adrenal fatigue doesn't necessarily mean that your adrenals are just fatigued. When you have adrenal fatigue, it means that the adrenals sometimes overproduce and sometimes underproduce hormones. That's a difference of what everybody else is thinking out there. It's not just that your adrenals are weak and you have lack of adrenal hormones. Sometimes it's too much and sometimes it's too less. And therefore you get specific symptoms and conditions. We're going to talk about some broader symptoms of adrenal fatigue, and then we're going to go more into more specific symptoms of adrenal fatigue, so you can figure out with that video if you have adrenal fatigue going on or if it's maybe something else that you're struggling with. What I also want to say is that almost everybody nowadays, 90% of the world's population, get adrenal fatigue at one point in their life. So it is very much likely that you experience some of those symptoms. Sometimes it's more severe, sometimes it's not that severe, but if it's severe, you definitely feel it. So let's go into the broader variety of symptoms when it comes to adrenal fatigue. You have weakness, you have lack of energy, you can have concentration issues, you can have focus issues, you can even have forgetfulness with adrenal fatigue or weakened adrenals. You can also have the feeling or you have trouble doing simple tasks that you did before with ease. You can even get depression. Some people even get poor digestion from adrenal fatigue, as well as constipation. Insomnia is a big one for adrenal fatigue. We're going to go more into depth about that as well. And people that have adrenal fatigue usually crash throughout the day, so they need to take naps. And people with severe adrenal fatigue, they don't even dream, because you need a specific hormone, or you need adrenal hormone, adequate hormones from the adrenal glands to even be able to dream. So if you didn't dream for a longer period of time, then it is very much likely, if you have also the other symptoms that we're going to talk about right now, that you have adrenal fatigue. So these are more of the broader symptoms when it comes to adrenal fatigue. But now I want to talk about symptoms that are even more specific to adrenal fatigue. And if you have a couple of those symptoms, it is actually very much likely that you have adrenal fatigue. So the main symptom that people have, I already mentioned that, is that you crash early in the morning and or throughout your day. So you have a little bit of energy and then you crash. And then you need a nap, for example, and then it's okay again, and then you crash again. That's very typical for adrenal fatigue. Another symptom of adrenal fatigue is actually that you're tired at work. You're really tired at work, but then you come home, and when you're coming home, you feel more energized and you don't know why. And that's specifically because the adrenal glands, they hold back some of the hormones, specifically adrenaline, when you're at work, because at work there could always happen some emergencies, and the adrenals hold back the adrenaline in order that when something is happening at work, because it's not a safe environment for you, that you can actually have enough adrenaline for that emergency that's going on. And then if you're coming home, you are in your safe environment, and then your adrenals, they release that adrenaline again, and then you feel more energized, even though you don't know why. So here you see specifically that the adrenal glands don't produce less hormones all the time. Adrenal fatigue means that it's sometimes too much and sometimes too little hormones. And another thing that is specifically for adrenal fatigue is that you're exceptionally exhausted at night, but you can't really fall asleep. Because in order to fall asleep, in order to have the REM dream phase in your sleep, you need also adequate adrenal hormones. And if you don't have them, it's really hard for you to fall asleep. Another thing that is associated with sleep when it comes to adrenal fatigue is that you just don't feel rested when you wake up in the morning. That's also because you need the adequate adrenal hormones in order and also to have a satisfying night, in order to have a restorative night as well. That's why you don't feel rested in the morning. Another symptom of adrenal fatigue is that you're constantly thirsty, you can't quench a thirst, you have a dry mouth, or you also have the craving for salt a lot. That's very typical for adrenal fatigue, because if you have adrenal fatigue, the corrosive adrenaline-cortisol blends, they actually diminish electrolytes in your bloodstream, which can lead to these cravings and which can lead to the dehydration that you feel when you have adrenal fatigue. Another symptom of adrenal fatigue is blurry vision or trouble focusing on things with your eyesight. That's also because of the excess cortisol that is dehydrating you more, and the sensitive spots around your eyes, they need a lot of hydration, and if you're dehydrated, you can actually have a blurry vision. Another thing is that is very typical for adrenal fatigue, and that is easy to understand, is that you crave for stimulants. Because when you have adrenal fatigue, you feel that you crash throughout the day, and without stimulants you can't really go, you can't really function. That's why you crave caffeine, different drugs, you crave all kinds of stimulants that lead to your adrenals producing adrenaline that keep you going. And therefore you crave stimulants to keep you going throughout the day, to keep you functioning, which is actually weakening your adrenals in the long term even more, any kind of stimulant, specifically caffeine. And I already talked about the dreams, did I? But I didn't talk about loss of libido, but that's only for women. When you have adrenal fatigue or when you have weakened adrenals, women also have loss of libido. Loss of libido is solely an adrenal issue for women, and here's why. And it's pretty astonishing. It's an astonishing safety mechanism from the human body. Because in order to give birth, the adrenals, they produce, or you need a certain amount of adrenaline to push out a baby. You need lots of adrenaline for giving birth, and therefore you need healthy adrenals. Basically, the more healthy your adrenals, the easier it is for a woman to give birth. That's why caffeine is one of the worst things you can consume when you want to have when you want to give birth without any problems. That's one of the most important things when it comes to having a healthy pregnancy specifically. I'm not going to go into what caffeine is doing to the child and everything, but what I can tell you is it's not good at all. But for pregnant women, it's one of the things that I would completely avoid. But I'm going into a different topic right now. Back to adrenal fatigue. When it comes to adrenal fatigue, you need that adrenaline in order to push out a baby. But if the adrenals are weakened, your body is seeing and realizing that. And therefore your body is saying to you, I don't want to have intercourse right now because I'm not able to have a healthy pregnancy. I don't have enough adrenaline reserves to push out the baby, to give birth in a healthy way. That's why your body is telling you, please don't have intercourse. That's why you have loss of libido. Hair loss is also another big symptom when it comes to adrenal problems or weakened adrenals, because the adrenals also produce a specific hormone that keeps the hair follicles alive. Therefore, alopecia or hair loss and hair thinning is caused by also weakened adrenals. So maybe you have some of those symptoms, maybe you have all of those symptoms, but as you can see, a lot of people are struggling with adrenal fatigue, and it's not a surprise because we live in a very stressful world. The adrenals are constantly going. We have lots of stress at work, in our surroundings, maybe with our family and friends. We are constantly on stimulants like caffeine, which is again one of the worst things for your adrenals. And therefore our adrenals get weakened in our time right now as never before. That's why a lot of people have these kind of symptoms when it comes to adrenal fatigue and the symptoms that are associated with that. And if you want to know how to get better, if you want to know how to heal your adrenal fatigue, I offer everybody a free discovery call where you can book your call on my website www.theobergmann.com. And there you can book your free discovery call. We will give you a call to figure out if and how I can help you for 10 to 15 minutes. And then we would move on to a strategy call, which is an initial consultation where we would show you also for free in a 60 to 90 minute call what the strategic approach would look like, how you can recover from your specific adrenal fatigue. And as you can see, there are so many different symptoms and different approaches for that. So it's really important to make that individually. And I help a lot of people already with adrenal fatigue or with the symptoms that are associated with weakened adrenals. Not only the adrenal fatigue itself, when you have like the crashes throughout the day, but also the hair loss and also the loss of libido. So I would highly recommend you doing that and booking that call, because if you don't do anything about that, it's possible that your adrenals don't recover and you still have these symptoms, or they're even getting worse. So if you want to get your energy back, if you want to be in the best shape of your life, if you don't want to be weak all day, if you want to have the energy you need to work, to concentrate, to have a good digestion, to be there for your family, to have a normal life where you can also do your sports, because a lot of people with adrenal fatigue, they also crash after they doing sports, any kind of sports. So if you don't want that to get worse, or if you don't want that your energy is staying like this and you want your energy back, I would highly recommend you doing that. So go to my website www.theobergmann.com and book your free discovery call there, and then we're gonna talk soon. So subscribe to my channel and see you soon in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.